Sunday, April 18th, 1971. God's Grace and Man's Efforts.
Let us have our prayer or meditation. Om Asmin Do Prithivi Chantariksham Manasaha Pranusya Sarvai Tame Bhuikam Janata Atmanam Vanna Vacho Vimunchata Amritasya Setuhu. He from whom the whole universe has come into being, to whom we owe the existence of our body and mind, strive to know Him and Him alone. That is the way to bliss, that is the way to immortality. Peace, peace, peace unto us all. The subject of our talk this morning is God's grace and man's efforts. In this connection, I remember one thing in our college days. Before summer vacation, there was a drama played by students. One student took the part of a blind man. I've forgotten the name of the drama, I've forgotten everything, but this I remember. In the well-lit house, the blind man came, groping in the darkness. And he was singing, "If thou pervadest the whole universe, why does it that I cannot see thee? Who has blindfolded me? Who has put a veil round my eyes?" He played, I think it was repeated. By the way, the student afterwards became a monk. He came to America. He was in charge of our Vedanta society in Chicago. You see, that is the important thing. This is a contradiction. God is pervading. God is everywhere. Where do you not see Him? Why this tragedy or comedy? It might be either tragedy, it might be either comedy. By the way, this very song was once sung by one of our monks in Benares. Swami Shivananda, the disciple of Ramakrishna, was there. He was there, and this young monk sang. He got, it's a jarring note. He did not like that song. It was stopped. For him it was not, why do I not see Him? Nor did he like that people would be singing that song that way. The negative idea. Why should you not see Him? You see, that I say it is a tragedy or it is a comedy. Our life is full of contradictions. In the scriptures, in the life of saints, in the scriptures, let us say in the Upanishads. In one of the Upanishads, it is said, He is near, is too far. He does not move. That means always, everywhere you can see him, but he moves faster than your thoughts. He is inside you. You have not to seek anywhere else. And he is outside of you. But our tragedy is we don't see him. In another Upanishad, Katha Upanishad, which speaks very much of self-confidence, of Shraddha, there is a verse, very important verse, that one. It says, the Atman cannot be realized by too much learning. It cannot be realized by your intellect. It cannot be realized by listening to any amount of discourses. He only can realize him on whom the grace of the Atman falls. Here, what will be the condition that the grace of the Atman will fall on the person? This verse occurs in two Upanishads. In one Upanishad, the meaning is, according to Shankaracharya, who is authoritative commentator, one who makes an effort, on whom the grace comes. In another Upanishad, in the same verse, on the same verse, the commentary is, one who can surrender oneself completely on him, the grace of the Lord comes. It does not come for nothing. Either you have to make tremendous effort, or you have to have completely self-effacing surrender. In the Gita we find, the Gita was preached in the battlefield. Arjuna was a mighty warrior who has won hundreds of battles. Coming to the battlefield, his courage gave way. And in the Gita, it is said, raise thyself by thyself. Don't yield to unmanliness. It does not befit thee. Give up all this foolishness and rise and fight. In another verse in the Gita, similar things is said. But at the end of the Gita, we find it is said, give up all efforts, give up the idea that by your efforts you will be able to achieve anything. Giving up all this self-righteousness depend on me completely. I shall raise you from your slough of despondency. I shall do everything for you. In another verse, in the same chapter, it is said, God is pervading the whole universe. Human beings or all beings are simply mere machines. I am the operator of the machine. That being the case, depends completely on me. You see, that was the end. That is the conclusion of the Gita. You may take it other way. You may take the first verse. You may take the beginning. But if you take the beginning and believe in self-efforts, as you go on with your spiritual practice, go on with getting the experiences of life, towards the end you know that everything depends on Him. When there are the experiences of life, we know. Once in our college days, there's a professor, brilliant professor. I was very free and close with him. I did not preach Swami Vivekananda, but naturally, reading his books, I believe too much in self-confidence and in exertion. Once I was saying this way, not discussing heavy religious things, nor I was competent to do that. But such a brilliant man, he told me, looking at me very affectionately, do you mean to say God can do everything? Even now I remember, he said, that both things were in these contradictions. It is said many persons towards the fag end of his life believe in destiny. Swami Vivekananda said, a man after 40 becomes a believer in destiny. By these 40 years, he has got sufficient experiences, has got sufficient knocks from life, and he knows to his great experience that the world does not move according to our will. We are not the ruler of the universe. We are not the ruler of ourselves. We are not the master of ourselves. There is more than that. All religions, without single exception, speak of both. On the one hand, you will say, do spiritual practice hard, constantly. And again, we will say, when there is difficulty, it is God's will. Without exception. Ramakrishna sometimes would say, just work hard. You cannot realize God. If your 1 year is composed of 16 months, say 12 months make 1 year, but you so lazy life you lead, then even in 16 months, the year is not, your year has not come to an end. And say, if you exert much, then you can. Make the mind, make the Divine Mother listen to you, sometimes you would say. But you know he'd be speaking so much of self-surrender. Constantly he would be say Saranagati, that means surrender to the Lord. Christ said, watch ye day and night without wasting one moment. For ye know not when the Son of Man cometh. Be alert. Any time God may come. So be prepared, that may do your spiritual practice very hard. He preached highest ethics as preparation for religious life. Love your enemies, bless them that curse you, judge not that ye be not judged, forgive everybody. If you go to the shrine to offer flower to the altar and you remember you have done some wrong things to anybody, go there, reconcile yourself with him and come. It is psychologically so true. Also, other way about, if you have grievances against anybody, all your spiritual practice will take wings. Try to forgive him. It's psychologically it is so true. When you come to the chapel, you want to meditate, and these things will come into your mind. You will not be meditating. So the practical thing, you finish that thing and you come. And you will be able to meditate. Buddha, he preached most rational religion. He preached a religion without God. He said, decay is inherent in every component thing. The universe, everything is composed of component things. So they are bound to decay. But truth abides forever. Work out your salvation with diligence. These were the last words of Buddha. Work out your own salvation. He spoke of Atma Dipa, Atma Sarana. Make yourself your lamp. Take refuge in yourself. Don't seek help from others. That was the substance of his message. But in Buddhistic prayer, the first line is Buddhang Saranang Gacchami. I take a refuge in Buddha. I am sure in Buddha's life, his followers are praying this prayer. Three prayers composed, made into one. I take refuge in Buddha. I take refuge in Buddha's teachings. I take refuge in Buddha's companion, organization. Not one surrender. Surrender into three things. Then how to reconcile these things? And coming to the common life, one problem of philosophy is freedom, free will, and determination. Some will say everything is determined. Some will say there is no, there is freedom. In the worldly life, they begin with free will. In philosophy, if you study, then we'll find towards the end they have not come to any conclusion. But one philosopher after another philosopher, in all seriousness, they discusses that momentous problem, and they leave us nowhere. Kant said that was sensible, though comes to the same thing. He said, ought presupposes can. If the religious people say you ought to do that, then it is taken for granted that you can do that. But what? When we begin to work, we find our powers are very limited. We cannot solve that. We cannot solve that problem in that way. Vedanta believes in the law of karma. There is some sense in it, but not the whole truth. Karma says, yes, the power is within you. What you sow, you will reap. You make attempt, then the result will come. If it does not come in this life, the effective work will not be lost. That will remain to your credit, and the life to come we shall reap the result, and so on. It is sensible in that sense. The responsibility is on us. But what about that thing? We cannot make an effort even. If we want, in our daily life, we are not the master of ourselves from one standpoint. Let's say we want to go for a walk. But every day we cannot go for a walk. On some days weather is very bad. With all our efforts, with our willpower, we cannot dare, or we do not like. If we do not like, that means there is something else. There is another master within you. You do not like. Why? It might be you are a bit indisposed, or you fear sickness. So there is another thing. So you are not the master of your works. Something else. But it is sensible in the sense the whole responsibility is on us. But the philosophical problem is who are you? You make an effort and will reap the result. That we do not know who really we are. That's a problem of not of philosophy, but of religion. If it be a problem of religion, it will end in philosophical discussion. We really have to find out who we are. Then we find we are not the body mind. We are not the body, we are not the mind. Something behind us, the Atman. Atman is the destiny, Atman is the creator, Atman God or Brahman, he is the creator. We are part of the divine being, divine existence, or we are divine. So you look at the world from the standpoint of the ultimate reality, from the standpoint of God. Everything explains itself. It is His power behind these things. He is playing this game, but what is played to Him, death to us, means suffering to us, but in any case it is His play. If you say that we are suffering, the answer will be, who are you? You are not separate. You have no existence at all. So the answer we can find if we do our spiritual practice and try to find out the person who is playing this game. There was a great scholar at the time Ramakrishna was in Calcutta, Vidyasagar. He was a great scholar and he had a very compassionate heart. But he was of humanistic type. He did not believe so much in God. His idea was, in the world there are so many terrible things. Why God does not remove these things? Buddha said when he left his house, there is so much suffering in the world. If God has not power to remove this suffering, He is no God. But having that power, if He does not remove them, He is no God for me. She was in search of a religion without God. But we want to see two things from the same level, from the human level. We want to see things. But from the level of God, it is explained everything. It is His creation. Even about the law of karma, Ramakrishna said, from dualistic standpoint. One was saying that what about our karma? Can we undo them? Ramakrishna said, yes, He created this law of karma. If you like, He can undo that. Swami Vivekananda said, an incarnation means kapalo mochana. Kapal means destiny. Kapal means destiny. He can undo the destiny, wipe out everything. It is sensible. He can do that. So our real thing is to know Him who is the actor. About Vidyasagar, some persons told Ramakrishna, Vidyasagar says that why should I worship God? God sees so many horrible things, terrible wars, terrible devastation of flood, famine. Then Ramakrishna said, the answer to this, just to see Him, try to see Him, not discussing, try to see Him. There's a way to see Him. Do your spiritual practice, and when you see Him, then you can ask Him, why you created this art? Why did you play this way? So important thing for us to do spiritual practice. But even in spiritual practice also, at first we think by our spiritual practice we shall do. We do hard spiritual practice. But as we go on in our spiritual progress, we ourselves begin to feel that the power behind us is not we. Even if we think that by our spiritual practice we will realize God or the truth, we are wrong. It is egotism. In the beginning we do, it is good that we do not surrender. We try our best. But we ourselves begin to feel. Our ego becomes less and less. And we begin to feel the author of this universe is someone else. And we are part of that. He is part of his existence. In this way, ego becomes less and less. And what remains when it is completely evaporated? This is the eternal existence, the ultimate reality. So that is the real solution. That is the truth. And the important thing, we should try to live a life which will help us to develop which will help us to develop our spiritual life. And as we progress, we shall ourselves begin to feel, and we succeed completely, then that problem is non-existence. That's the truth. The truth is simple, but we have to work, and we have to work hard, so long as we work with our ego. A disciple of Ramakrishna would say, as even you think that by your spiritual practice you will realize him, you cannot. You want to raise a stone by sitting on it, by standing on it. You cannot raise yourself, by standing on it, this stone. This stone of Maya, this ignorance you cannot remove. So long as not you get the light, so long as you cannot bring the light. So try to bring the light, try to see the truth. The truth abides forever. Then our problems will be solved, and we shall be at peace. We shall know it is all tranquil, it is all joy, it is eternal. That is the truth. The Upanishad says, then all religions say the same one thing. Thank you. Some of you who have read the life of Swami Vivekananda know that he, in his first visit to America, he created quite a sensation by his lectures on Vedanta. While he was leaving for India, he said to some of his intimate followers, I have preached Vedanta, I shall send you one who is the embodiment of Vedanta. And he did not send. In his next visit, he brought with him, Swami Tudyananda. The subject of our talk next Sunday will be Swami Tudyananda, who lived Vedanta. All are welcome. On Tuesday evening, there will be class on the guitar. All are welcome. Let us conclude with our prayer. Om sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramaya, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kasti dukkhavag bhavet. May all be happy, may all be able to overcome the difficulties of life. May all have the right understanding and the strength to follow that in practice. May all be able to reach their spiritual destiny, O Lord. Peace, peace, peace unto us all.